Take a look around you. The surrounding space that you come across every day in your life. The place that you call home. The place where you make a difference and earn your living. The place where you're about to start an adventure. The place where you live your life to the fullest. And the familiar places that you've stepped your foot on every day in your life. Niro Granite is in every part of the world we live in. Niro Granite, connecting the world with Swiss quality since 1979, from the very first factory set up in Cresciano, Switzerland. We were set for new beginnings and new adventures. We have ventured and grown our foothold in Malaysia, Indonesia, China, Vietnam, India, and the Philippines. We've brought along our Swiss heritage and passed on the Swiss quality in all the things that we touch, leading one breakthrough after another to produce trend-setting and exceptional products, from the spray drying technology to the calibrated tiles. And now, braving the frontier to set up creative lab that changed the way people buy tiles. We will continue to provide excellent services to all our customers around the world with the help of our people, as great things in business are never done by one person. The innovative spirit, dedication, and passion of our people have brought us 40 adventurous years of being a leading tile company. Like a true adventurer would, we will keep innovating to serve the market better and to build more histories together, breaking the boundaries to adapt to the evolving world cultures, technologies, and economy. Niro Granite, the Swiss quality tile, creating a better tomorrow today. Take a look around you. The surrounding space that you come across every day in your life. The place that you call home. The place where you make a difference and earn your living. The place where you're about to start an adventure. The place where you live your life to the fullest. And the familiar places that you've stepped your foot on every day in your life. Niro Granite is in every part of the world we live in. Niro Granite, connecting the world with Swiss quality since 1979, from the very first factory set up in Cresciano, Switzerland. We were set for new beginnings and new adventures. We have ventured and grown our foothold in Malaysia, Indonesia, China, Vietnam, India, and the Philippines. We've brought along our Swiss heritage and passed on the Swiss quality in all the things that we touch, leading one breakthrough after another to produce trend-setting and exceptional products. From the spray drying technology to the calibrated tiles. And now, braving the frontier to set up creative lab that changed the way people buy tiles. We will continue to provide excellent services to all our customers around the world with the help of our people, as great things in business are never done by one person. The innovative spirit, dedication, and passion of our people have brought us 40 adventurous years of being a leading tile company. Like a true adventurer would, we will keep innovating to serve the market better and to build more histories together, breaking the boundaries to adapt to the evolving world cultures, technologies, and economy. Niro Granite, the Swiss quality tile, creating a better tomorrow today.
Good morning and welcome to Go Big, Tile Applications and Ideas webinar. I'm Wendy from Niro Ceramic Group and I'll be your host for today. Before we start, I have a few housekeeping notes. If you have any questions during the webinar, please use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. Your questions will be answered by the end of the webinar. If you have technical difficulties, please use the chat button and we will respond to you. Okay, before we start with the first speaker, let's welcome Michelle Johnson, GM of Marketing and Product Development of Niro Ceramic Group. Over to you, Michelle.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Niro Ceramic Group live webinar.
My name is Michelle Johnson, GM from Marketing and Product Development for Niro Ceramic Group. Welcome to all our participants that have made time to attend our webinar today. Today's webinar is a joint collaboration with our good friends from Sun Synergy and Electric Grid, who will also be our speakers. Let me give you a brief introduction of today's topic, Go Big, Tile Ideas and Application. In the global trend in 2021 and 2022, large format tiles or big slab continue to be the trend and hype for modern architecture and design. So what exactly is big tiles or large format tiles? Large format tiles are tiles that are larger than 60 times 120 cm. These are tiles sized between 120 times 120 cm and up to 160 to 320 cm or even larger. In some countries, Big slabs are known as gauge porcelain tiles, and they are available in many designs, but most popular are designs in marble and stone. You may have seen big slab tiles in many high-end projects, hotels, or luxurious project development. But today, we are here to show you that big slabs are capable of doing more. They are capable of not only having a beautiful, luxurious ambience and environment, but they have the potential of creating spacious hallway in your project development or in your residential development. Our speakers today will be able to share with you Niro Granite's collection of big slab. Not only are they easy to maintain, easy to clean, but on its own, it gives you an art piece on its own. Today, our speakers will share with you one of our collections from Niro Granite Big Slab, some ideas, application, sun synergy, and laticrete will show you different types of finishing and good installation methods. So stay tuned as we bring to you Go Big Tile Application and Ideas by Niro Ceramic. Thank you. Over to you, Wendy.
Thank you, Michelle, for the speech. We are now on to our first speaker, Ms. Tan Xiao Wei. She has been in the flooring industry for 7 years with Niro Ceramic Group, specializing in marketing. She will be giving you the insights of large format tiles. Over to you, Xiao Wei.
All right, thank you, Wendy, for the introduction. And now I welcome everyone for this section. And I hope you are actually excited or even a little bit curious what exactly I'll be sharing later. And as you'll be listening to me talking all about the large format tiles, maybe you will hear some products that you have been eyeing at, and therefore seeing possibility of our products in your projects. So now let me share with you our big slab collections. Vogue Grande Style and Statement, a big slab collections that is offering 4 different sizes. For those developers that's attending our sessions today, how would it be by using big slab? It will allow your property to be more elegant and even stylish. Would you be interested in consider using that? Yeah. And for those architects or even interior designers, can you imagine by just using big slab, it will create a bespoke look and feel for any of the proposal which you are working at. Do you think that actually you are allowing your customer to be impressed by your proposal? And for those business owners or even retailers, perhaps you'll be agree that now big slab is the trend. And the demand for the big slab has increased over the years. So what exactly is Vogue Grande Style and Statement? It is a big slab collection that is offering 4 different sizes, and it is suitable for people that is appreciating fashion and style. And it is also for people who is daring enough to make a bold statement in any of the space which they are working at. And in Vogue Grande collections, our design are actually focusing on mainly marble design. And as you can see here, we are focusing on gray or even black marble. We also do have white marble. And the sizes which we have in this collection will be the 4 sizes here: 120s times 120s, 90, 180 cm, 120 times 240 cm, and our largest will be 160 times 320 cm. And let's not wait further ado. Let us take a look at what will be the white marble collections that we have in this Vogue Grande series. The first one which we have will be Carrara White in the size of 120s times 120s, and Carrara White is inspired from Carrara Marble. Next we have will be 90s 180s, and for this we actually do have two different designs. The first design that we have will be Lavish White, inspired from Kalakata Machiavecia Marble. And next we have will be Polar White, inspired from Polar White Marble. Next designs that we have is Tuscany White, inspired from Statuary Marble, come in the size of 120s times 240. And the largest designs that we have will be Kalakata White, inspired from Kalakata Marble, and comes in the size of 160s times 320. And all of the products here that you can see today for the white marble, we are focusing on natural white marble design that is making a coherent reference between both elegance and also timeless. And if you have customers that would like to look for something different or something more unique on the white marble design, do look out for Lavish White, because it is not only a white marble design that comes with grey veins, it also has a little bit of yellow veins as well. All right, so I've shared you about the white marble collections. Now let us take a look at what would be the black or even grey marble collections that we have in Vogue Grande. The first one will be Brezza Grey, inspired from grey marble. Then next we have will be 90s 180s, and two different designs. First one will be Lawrence Black, inspired from Saint Laurent Brown Marble. Then we have Olympia Grey, inspired from Alba Grey Marble. We also have Tuscany Grey, inspired from Italian Grey Marble in the size of 120s times 240s. And our biggest design will be in Pietra Grey in the size of 160s times 320s. And for all our black or even grey marble collection, as you can see here, the designs that we have selected is actually stronger marble design characters. And it is focusing on people who has the courage in using these tiles to create exceptional design that will instantly elevate the tone of any room into a luxurious space. And the products which we have in Vogue Grande are mainly available in the polished surface. Besides, our biggest size will be available in soft polished surface. And as for the thickness, generally we have it in 9 mm for both sizes of 90, 180 and also 120s times 240s. And as for our 120s times 120s, we have it in the thickness of 11.5, and our biggest tile size that we have will be available in the thickness of 15 mm. So now, perhaps you will be feeling even more excited to see our products. I will then share you our product's outcome when it is applied in different ambience. So let us now take a look at the video. products been applied in different ambience. And perhaps with that, you now can imagine or even visualize more. What if your projects now are using Granite? No worries, you'll be getting more ideas on the application because later Ada will be sharing on how our products can be applied in different areas. So that's all for my sharing today. Thank you. Now over to you, Wendy.
Thank you, Xiaowei, for the excellent presentation. Now we know there are tiles twice as big as the human size. To all participants, keep the questions coming in. We are now on to our second speaker, Noor Adawiyah, better known as Ada. Ada is our head of design at Niro Ceramic Group. She handles project designs and produces 3D renders. She will be bringing you new ideas for large tiles. Over to you, Ada.
All right. Thank you, Wendy. All right. Hi, everyone. So now I want to share with you more new ideas or maybe some forgotten ideas where to apply our large format tiles. Okay, with these ideas, perhaps you can recommend and promote to your client in their home, office, or any commercial project space project you have in future. Okay, let me begin. All right, anyway, our focus area for large format tiles, we divide into two main categories, which is for residential and for commercial area. Okay, now let's go through one by one. Okay, I will start with our large format tiles ideas for the residential category first, yeah? Okay, as you can see my screen here, we have a bathroom design featuring our large format tiles, where we can apply at the bathtub feature wall area here. So for this feature wall, we can think of, for example, we're using two pieces of our full big slab, let's say 1.2 times 2.4. And on the left side 3D here, we can apply at WC or shower feature wall area. And in fact, you can apply it at the entire bathroom wall area also. Okay, whether you choose white or darker tone, bathroom design that feature impressive large format tiles make envied focal points. For sure, it will add a sense of luxury and seamless design effect to your space. Okay, next area we have, this is another idea how our large format tiles can be a masterpiece in your bathroom design. All right, as you can see our 3D design here, we can create special design for the basin counter and also for the baths. We can also use it to create a wall shelf or something like this. All right, so actually the good thing if we apply our large format tiles in the bathroom area, it for sure gives your space clean and sleek look and requires less maintenance since there are fewer grout lines to clean. Okay, now next area we have a kitchen design. Okay, due to its size, our large format tiles can be easily cut into any shape and size you want, then making it at your perfect design piece. So beside covering a floor and wall in the kitchen area, the big piece tiles can be carved into a round, square, or rectangle tabletop, kitchen island, and also backsplash at your kitchen wall. Okay, therefore, your kitchen can be transformed into modernized preparation area or cooking area surface. Anyway, if you realize our 3D here, there's a white and a darker color tone. Well, actually, you can get simplicity design when you choose a white marble design. Okay, and also if you choose our darker color tone, it will give you a cozy feeling. But both color actually do bring out the elegance of the whole entire area through our large format tiles. And furthermore, the benefit of using big step at the kitchen area, as we know, kitchen always get dirt after cooking, right? And the stain can easily trap on the tiles. So if we use our large format tiles, in terms of maintenance, surely it will be more easier to handle because less grouting line. Okay, this is another design ideas where you have so many ways to customize your dry kitchen or kitchen pantry design. Okay, you can use these ideas to find a kitchen backsplash that fits your style well. Okay, as you know, backsplash can span the entire wall. They can be a pop-up behind the range, or they can cover the area between the countertops and also cabinets. Okay, so as you can see the design here, you actually can cover your elegant kitchens. For ideas on how to incorporate our large format tiles at your kitchen cabinet backsplash area. Okay, you can have perfect match by combining other materials to your sleek cabinet and countertop design pairing with our large format tiles. Okay, next area we have a bedroom design. All right. Who said a headboard always has to be made from fabric or wood, right? In fact, opting for a large piece of our tiles can create a very cool effect. So I think this is a good idea if we can apply our large format tiles at the bed head feature wall in your bedroom. It actually can really make a statement in your room, okay? Using big slab as a bed head design, it will give your room a great personality, and it can give modern sense of luxury, especially with our exclusive marble effect. All right, as you can see this 3D, we can use two pieces of our large format tiles. For example, we can use a size 1.6 times 3.2 for the entire wall here. Then to further enhance the seamless design, you can use similar color grout line. Will create the visual effect of a single piece of tile on the entire area. All right, now we move on to the next, which is large format tiles ideas for commercial category. All right, as you see the 3D here, this is the idea where we also can apply our large format tiles to create a grand feature wall design at the reception counter and also at the waiting lounge area. So when we apply our large format tile at such big areas like this, normally they have high ceiling and wide wall, it for sure gives a greater sense of spaciousness and create high-end feel to your interior space. It's just like an artwork piece, okay? The marble veining and the surface really make your reception backdrop timeless in style. Okay, and this is another idea where you can consider our large format tiles if you have any empty wall area, let's say in your office conference design or meeting room design. So maximize it up to ceiling height, and it can be your elegant feature wall design. For further enhance, we also can beautify this wall by adding lighting elements to our tiles, and obviously it can make a wall stand up. So this actually creates an illusion of the grand look and more space. As you know, if we're placing large format tiles horizontally, it will create the illusion of wider space. And to make your walls feel taller, we can arrange it vertically. So again, depends on your creativity to design your feature wall using our large format tiles. Okay, and this is another interesting ideas is large format tiles to apply at a furniture area. It's a variety of usage, ideal for furnishing empty space and making a unique statement with your interior. They are great on reception counters, seating design, or even your coffee table or side tables. Okay, therefore, by using our large format tiles, the furniture design will look more clean, unique. It's also very durable material, and it also can be your new look of your design art piece in your interior space. All right, now next area we have here is a shopping mall or retail space area. Okay, this is another great idea where you can apply our large format tiles at the retail shop front. Using tiles at a retail display, their performance and practicality is important as their overall look. So the first impression and the atmosphere of the environment is an important thing of gaining a competitive advantage and affecting the purchasing behavior of the customers, especially in the retail sector. So here, our large format tiles will show you the place modern look with its elegant appearance, which will leave a positive impression on your brand. So our big slab actually can be a nice showcase where we can create a feature wall design for the window display, for example, here. And designer also can be more creative if you can use our tiles to create a cube box for the display, for your product display as well. Okay, so overall look, obviously it gives the elegant look to this retail outlet for the first impression to your customer. Okay. Okay, I think I have shared you all ideas for our large format tiles, and now we're giving you some bonus ideas to apply our 6120 tile size design application. Okay, let's have a look at the design ideas we have here. Okay, as you can see my screen here, we have 3D. Okay, actually we wanted to show you the differences between three sides of the tiles effect. Okay, so we have 6120 tiles, 30 times 60 and 60 times 60 tiles. So it is clear to see from the visual here, different tiles evoke different feelings and aesthetic value to the space. So if you can compare a 6120 tiles here, okay, visually create a larger room effect with fewer grouting lines. And of course, it is easier to maintain. Compared to 30 times 60 tiles here, okay, visually make your room smaller and messier with more grouting line visible. While 60 times 60 tiles in this visual, it gives the room more to squarish look. Okay. Okay, this is the idea where you can apply 6120 tiles using tile on kitchen island. Okay, it's a great way to make a statement at your dry kitchen or your kitchen pantry. Same like our large format tiles, it can be applied at a kitchen top and backsplash design, as we know it for sure to protect your wall at the cooking area or wet area. Aesthetically, your entire kitchen creates a timeless look, especially when designers can blend in their cabinet materials with perfect color combination to match our tiles design. Okay, moving on. We have 6120 tiles to apply at the furniture again. Okay, anyway, as you know, tiles are not just for the wall and floor, right? So it is versatile if we can apply it to the furniture like what you see in this slide. We can create a nice console table here and also for the outdoor bench seating design. So this size is just nice for the furniture length and depth to fix our 6120 tiles. All right. This is the staircase area. Stairs not just give you access to move between different levels of your house. It plays an important part in elevating the look of your house. So here we bring you our large format tiles design where you can apply it at your staircase area. It is interesting ideas to use our 6120 tiles, especially for high-end and high-end residential house type like bungalow or semi house. So with the ideal size 6120, this is a good choice for your staircase material application. A large staircase featuring tiles, especially with marble effect, evoke a feeling of grandeur. Right. Okay, now we're moving to the last topic, which is 6120 for the commercial area. All right, as you can see, this is a pillar or column design area. Normally, tiles on pillar or column we see it at shopping malls, airport, hospital, university, and many more commercial big scale areas. So the effect when a tiles being using at the pillar, it will make the pillar or column a stylish statement. So they stand out and give grand and artistic effect into your space. So for column or even wall, obviously our 6120 tiles can be a durable alternative to paint, laminate, or any other material like wallpaper material. And of course, there's no repenting or worrying about staining your wallpaper in the future. Okay, this is the ideas where you can apply our 6120, for example, on the wall shelf display at your office area, or maybe at your showroom mock-up, deco showroom or retail shop. All right, so it actually create different visual effect when applied on wall, and if you match it with wall shelf display. They are naturally eye-catching and they cover the area sufficiently without requiring any cutting or applying more grout lines. And now we are moving to the last slide. Okay, as you can see the 3D here, this is the ideas for 6120, where we can apply at landscape areas such as water fountains or planter box or walkway garden area. All right, as you see the design, actually it makes this outdoor garden more inviting when 6120 used at a landscape element. Applying tiles in garden area is actually a good solution as you compare to the other materials, because they make an interesting features in your landscape or hardscape design. So it is an important focal point, especially in landscape gardens, and it create tastefully can enhance the value of your property as well. Okay. All right, I think that's all from my end. So I guess you have seen quite a lot of design ideas today. Hopefully these ideas that we share, it may help you to propose to your client and how to apply them in your interior or your exterior element. Okay, I believe all of you here are very talented and skillful designers. Surely you will have more ideas how to apply our large format tiles and develop it into your design project. Okay, anyway, thank you so much. Now over to you, Wendy.
Thank you, Ada, for your wonderful ideas. Now to the participants, remember if you have questions, click on the Q&A button. We are on now to our third speaker, Admin Ng from Sun Synergy, who has played crucial advisory and technical roles in more than 50 flooring projects worldwide. He will be bringing you new flooring finishes and new installation techniques for large tiles. Over to you, Edwin.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much, Randy, for a very kind introduction. Yeah, good morning, everybody. Thank you, everyone, for being here once again. And I must also congratulate all the Niro Granite personnel for organizing such a wonderful webinar. Now, this morning, I'm very excited to share with you some of the products that we at Sun Synergy carries to complement the beautiful Vogue Grande large format tiles that just now Xiaowei and Ada has mentioned a while ago. I would like to describe my product like how a dress complements a lady. You know, our profiles complements your design and protects the beautiful large format tiles. All right. So coming from a marketing and advertising background, I always had the eyes for details. Yeah. A few years ago, after we started our collaboration with tiling and stone marble industry, now I started to notice the tile finishing. So if you look at the picture on the left, you will notice that the tile has been, abruptly cut and is simply plastered and painted over to finish the job. It is very, very common that our Malaysia tiling sifu would conclude their installation like this. Now, I noticed there's a lot in the male toilets that have those 5 feet tile walls. And yes, that's the picture of a toilet wall. Yeah. Center picture will show you a 90-degree corner cut of a tile, and that's how normally a tile will be installed. And sometimes you will notice that actually there's a tile barcode printed or a two-tone line, because a lot of tiles are not really homogeneous in nature. Now, even homogeneous tiles don't look great with this type of corner installation. Where my cursor is, you see this line here. This is the line that actually irks me. Lastly, the one on the right shows that the owner took the liberty to install a plastic covered corner profile. This small one here. But a nice effort, but kind of wasted one, because they used wrong material at the wrong location. The steps and the floor are exposed to heavy traffic, as you can see, is already broken. And there's some small details. These are the one that actually irks me, and I'm not even a designer. I hope you are the same as me, and that once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Then you remember me again. I truly believe that the smallest detail has meaning and serve a purpose, and that actually differentiates you from other designers, right? So behold, here's just some small example of floor finishing profiles to feast your eyes on. I said small example because Progress Profile, the company from Italy, manufactured all these beautiful profiles, have catalog of about 22,000 SKUs. It's a lot. Starting from the top left picture, that is what we refer to as a profile. But in Malaysia, it's commonly known as inlay, or some people call it dividing strip. As you can see from here, we do carry a lot of different heights, different width to suit different tile and stone sizes. Now, those profiles inlays on the right hand side are made of pure brass, and at the center row, you'll notice that there's this center row of pictures here. Yeah, you will notice a very type of floor transition or ramps to provide smooth transition between different floor heights. Now, especially when they are used in different materials such as the vinyl and tile finishing here. This is the tile and vinyl finishing here. Yeah, all these profiles are available in flora of colors, type of finishes: chrome, anodized, matte. We have stone finish, wood grain finish, and even leaded finish. Yeah, but inside is aluminium. If you recall the previous picture, the owner is supposed to use a non-ferrous metal to protect the edges of the stairs that he wants, and will ensure that it doesn't break on heavy traffic. So I would actually recommend the picture here, number 2 picture on the top here. That would be the more suitable one. I'm sure some of you might have come across this, type of profiles, and you might be thinking, why not just do DIY something similar out of a small hollow section? I like to, share with you what I've seen on in the market. Next picture would be this one. Yeah, this is some of the pictures I've taken in at a shopping center in JB. I don't want to name names, but Village Grocer was still renovating that day, and I happened to just walk past. I saw some of their tiling works with proper, stainless steel profile. Upon closer inspection, I noticed that their profiles, although similar, but the details just like the finer things in life. If you notice, they excessively use the white grout to hold the profile in place. Yeah, as you can see on the left picture here. Yeah, most likely because they don't have the leg extension that fix under the tiles, and the joineries are not aligned. The center and the right side picture will show you how they cut a 45-degree angle to join at the corners. Now, these are major differences between a DIY and a purpose-made profiles. We don't need to cut corners. We merely enhance it with proper corner fixing that matches the size and shape of the profile. Now, how does that look like? Right. So let me direct your eyes to the bottom corner, bottom right corner, where I mentioned about the joineries. Each of these profiles have an optional joinery finish to accommodate the corners inside. What we call here, this center one is the inside corner and the outside corner. Right. At the bottom, we have the capping to be placed at the termination end. This one at the termination end. If it's not terminated on the wall, and the white color plastic that looked like a TIE fighter, is meant to be inserted between the two profile length to join them without using any adhesive at all. Now, for the rest of the profile display here are meant for the wall, especially for the corners to protect and enhance the exclusivity of your Vogue Grande large format tiles on the wall. The cove corner profiles seen here, the cove corner actually is suitable for countertops, as mentioned by Ada just now. It provides an easy cleaning edge between your backsplash and the countertop. This second picture on the center here, second from the left, that is. If anyone thinking of using a 1.6 times 3.2 meter massive tile as a kitchen island top, we have a great complement to help you finish off the edges and provide a seamless finish, such as this, the bottom left picture, this one. Lastly, the stair nosing is actually very, very vital. The stair nosing protects the edges and provides safety abrasion to all who traverse on the beautiful tiled stair. Most importantly, it helps to hide the infamous tile lines I highlighted earlier, which is this tile line, this line here, a small line here, making your design that much closer to perfection. Now, you have both aesthetics and functionality. That goes hand in hand, something that is hard to come by nowadays. Here, I would also like to share some pictures of how it looks like after the installation. All right. So on the left-hand side, on the top, you can see that the island actually have this corner profiles. On the toilet area, you have all these cove profiles, so that's easy clean toilets, bendable profiles, easy, and also the tile stair nosing. Sorry, tile with stair nosing. Yeah, it will look really, really good. Yep. So moving on to the next topic, large slab breakage prevention. So apart from aesthetic and exterior beauty, we now look at the inner workings and the installation aesthetics to ensure that all these large slab tiles are properly installed so that it will last. Just like an iceberg, what you see on the surface is only half the story, or probably in this case is a quarter of the story. A lot of work must be done right under the surface to ensure that exterior beauty is protected. A lady must take care of her own health with exercise to, you get the idea, right? Let's step right into it. All right. In many of our projects, we've seen or heard tiles cracks sometimes, and there are possibly tens of reasons why they do so. And unfortunately, tile manufacturer and the installer always gets the blame. Number one, the first picture on the left hand side, it shows it as unbuckling. The center picture, second one is debonding. The third picture, and it's actually very dangerous. It's very, very sharp. It exploded. A story that a friend of mine, he posted on Facebook that he got 26 stitches on his abdomen because it was just right next to the tile in his house when it exploded. Now, why does this happen? One of the same reason is a tile behave in this way because due to cyclic temperature and changes daily. From daytime it's hot and then nighttime becomes cold, and this causes the tile to expand, contract. Again, this is cyclic. It happens every day. Just imagine you have a large format tiles. Okay, and the last thing you would want is actually white grouting. Normally they have as thin as possible. But in Malaysian standard, the MS1294 recommends 3 millimeter width minimum for grouting. But I've seen many cases in residential setting the grout is 1.5 mm or even 1 mm. Basically, this type of installation could be actually very dangerous. Another common situation that causes tile breakage would be the screed that shrink, as the diagram on the bottom right here. See, the tile is installed on a wet screed before it has time to cure and dry. Depending on the thickness of the screed at the bottom, it usually take more than 5 days to cure. Right? Now, talking about large format tiles. Large format tiles are more easily mishandled and cracked as compared to smaller tiles because due to its own weight itself. Elise would agree with me on this one. Even after installation, small cracks in the subfloor can transfer to the tile and leads to crack, especially on installation with thin grouting that doesn't really allow movement. Thus, it is absolutely vital to leave some space to allow expansion and contraction we talked about just now. Then comes the question, how do you fill this void between the tiles? Some of the more archaic methods are being used still today is by using silicone sealant, which has proven itself to last just a few good months before requiring for you to reseal it again, on and on, as compared to the proper fabricated neoprene control joint. And if you look at the center picture here and the center here, we show you how the difference between them. The neoprene easily outlasts any poured in situ silicone sealant. Furthermore, the picture at the bottom tells you the whole story, this picture here. Once the silicone starts to wear off, the edges of the tile will start to chip off due to the rolling load. Yeah, and then cracks starts to appear, and finally the whole piece needs to be changed. So imagine this. If this happened a few months after you moved in, and you, the contractor, is still liable for the part, or the 24 months liability period, and then they have to go and buy a new batch of tiles for replacement. And in your experience, do you think you will get the same exact color shading to match the surrounding tiles? Now imagine that this large format tiles is 1.2 times 2.4 meters. You have approximately about 31 square feet patch of a different tone. A 31 square feet patch is possibly the size of a Hong Kong apartment. Leakage is another concern for installing large format tiles. Leakage occurs when two adjacent tiles are not level. That just, one up and one down. The bigger the tiles, the more difficult it can be to level them. Leakage does not only appear to be more prominent with bigger tiles, but it also poses a greater danger on the floor. In our case, one tile leakage could measure up to 3 meters in length. That's more than 10 feet of leakage. All this issue needs to be taken into account. Now, since the dawn of my age, about 40 years ago, or longer maybe, many international standards already exist to guide us on the use of control joints for tiles, granites, marbles, and all the installation. British standards, BS, American, Australian, even Malaysian standard 1294 carries the latent neoprene bonded non-ferrous metal that protects the edges of the tiles. As you can see from the diagram here, on the left hand side here, it's actually taken from MS 1294, part 3. One of the most common questions that I've been asked by architects and interior designers was, how do I know where to put all these control joints? Well, the simplest rule of thumb would be from column to column to form a grid, a square grid. An international standard would have it at about 6 meter by 6 meter internal flooring and 3 meter by 3 meter for external flooring. Yeah, but in our MS standard, it is somewhat safe to go up to a max of 10 meter by 10 meter grid. But personally, I would just stick to the rule of thumb from column to column in most projects, but because that would mean that's about 7.5 meter to 8.2 meter grid range for column to column. This setting would be most aesthetically pleasing with proper termination on the column. Some bigger projects like shopping malls, MRT, LRT stations, airport projects will actually have to accommodate for heavy vibration, and suspended slab creep deflection, calculated over time to a combination of loading condition. We have the expertise to help them allocate where the best location for these control joints to be placed. I know I'm going slightly technical here, but to make it simple, if you don't know where to place the control joint, send us your floor plan drawing and we'll help you out. Okay, that's the easier part. Now, on top is some of the latent neoprene control joints from Australia. As you can see, it comes in different heights and to suit different floor finishes. From 8mm mosaics to 120mm thick stone is doable. Those on the right with the inverted T's are what we call a tile strip, for installation using the adhesive dry lay. And the two on the left are what we call a lock strip, here. And mostly for granite and marble, we use wet lay installation. It's aluminium, zinc, brass, stainless steel. Okay, now let me gather your attention now to another interesting product from the Italian Progress Profile, which is the Protesto Uncoupling membrane system at the bottom here. Basically, this membrane is an uncoupling, meaning crack isolation, uncoupled, and waterproofing membrane with vapor control and load distribution properties. Now, I can almost hear a sigh of relief for some of our interior designers here. This would be a perfect solution that provides both functionality of tile movement without sacrificing their beautiful floor design. The installation is super easy with the usage of a C2S1 adhesive from Laticrete that Elise will share with you in a moment. All right, and moving on, I would like to also highlight the next issue, which is slippages. Now, how do we control these large format tiles? One of this easiest way is actually levelers, by using levelers. This product has been around in the industry for quite some time now, but the popularity of this are questionable still. For large format tiles, I highly recommend it. The Progress Profile patented Pro Leveling System shown here, this one, the Pro Leveling System, is an innovative 2-in-1 compression leveling system, compressed down, combining spacers and levelers into one system. While the more traditional levelers are shown at the bottom here, the wedge system, albeit slightly more affordable, but care must be taken if the floor is dirty, and because it might cause scratches on a polished tile surface. Nevertheless, whichever levelers, no matter screwed on or wedge type, is no longer an option. In my opinion, it has to become a necessity in large format tiles installation. All right, next I would like to share with you some picture of said products and how it is being used. The grid system, as you can see on the top left here, this is how it would look like for the control joints. And then control joints, there are some in our projects that we've done before. This pavilion here, MRT stations. You don't really see the lines, but I have multiple occasions that the architects or interior designers have told me that really it messes with my design of the floor. It's not so nice, got line on the floor. So there's a solution. You can actually use the membrane crack isolation or called Protesto name system that we have here. Okay. So lastly, I would like to thank everyone for your attention to our keynote. And if you need any assistance, we can be contacted at the following address. I look forward to hearing from you. My name is Edwin from Sun Synergy, and I'll pass the stage back to our host, Wendy. Thank you.
Thank you, Edwin. That was very insightful. Our last speaker today, Elise Lee from Letigrade. She's a specifications consultant and specializes in building materials installation. Today, she will be telling you the secrets of adhesives. Over to you, Elise.
Hi, good morning, everyone. It was great to see all of you here today, this morning. And of course, thank you to Niro for extending this wonderful invitation to join on this webinar, right? So let's delve right into it. So just now you look into the beautiful finishes, right? So I'm here to share with you how to keep the finishes there for the next 10 years, 20 years, and 100 over years, right? So let it create basically a very brief introduction. We have footprints in over 100 over countries and territories, right? And we have done some very interesting projects, such as the Marina Bay Sands, our Petronas Twin Towers, and Burj Khalifa, and so on and so forth, right? So with that in mind, all of these projects here, they have uses very large format tiles as well as stone. So that's why for it to last, right? Because we already invested so much into our finishes, right? And it's so beautiful. We don't want anything to happen to it in the next 2 years, right? We don't want it to fail in just 2 years' time. We want it to be there for as long as it can be, right? So what should we look at to ensure that the finishes is there for as long as we can remember, right? The thing is basically when there is a tile failure, there is many reasons to it, right? It can be the tile itself, probably they have too much alumina powder. It could be the adhesive that is probably the wrong type of adhesive used. It could be the leveling mortar. It could even be the waterproofing, because any one of this layer, if they were to fail, anything above it will fail along together with it. So when there is a failure on site, normally we want to have basically an investigation to see where it failed, right? We have to identify which layer the failure came from, and then we will address it from there, right? But ideally, during installation, the best is to get it right at every single layer, okay? So of course, prior to all of that, the main thing to look at first would be the substrate requirement, right? That means what are you basically installing on? Are you installing on concrete? Are you installing on brick wall? Are you installing on steel, right? So all of this matters so much because, for example, when you put on makeup, it depends on your face. Are you having the oily skin? Are you having dry skin? Do you have a lot of scarrings and so on? It all depends because the treatment will be different, right? So similarly, when it comes to construction, the treatment for each of these substrates will be different. But the main idea is we want to ensure that it is level, right? We have to make sure it is nice and level so that it's ready to receive the finishes, right? So how do we ensure that we have flat floor, right? So for example, in order to even know what is a flat floor, there has to be a tolerance to it to define it, right? So for example, how do we define flat, right? So when we talk about flat floor, normally in 2 feet, you have a tolerance of 1.5 plus minus 1.5 mm. But for large format tiles, like the Vogue Grande, right? We are looking at so big a space that 2 feet don't make sense, right? We have to look at a bigger space. Look at 10 feet, right? At 10 feet wide, what is the tolerance, right? So the tolerance is plus and minus 3 mm. And if you achieve that, then you achieve what we term as a flat floor and it's ready to receive your finishes, right? Because if there's too much undulation, your finishes will also, you're going to have a lot of leakage issues later on, right? Which is, it's not going to look beautiful and it's going to cause potential injury later on, right? So let's look at this. When we look at how we are going to level it, there are certain, there are a few products to look at. There are many different types of products. You can use either the tip bake method, right? Basically, you build a certain level there to ensure that, you patch up all the undulations, allow a very good level, right? Or you can even use self-leveling underlayment. Now that is more used for vinyls and carpets, right? So it's like on the far right here, whereby it's a palm sort, right? or you can use patching mortars. Now, patching mortars is not really to it's a bit different. It's something like this. When your concrete is, when your face have a lot of scarring, you have to first fill up the scars, right? So that's what patching mortars does. We basically fill up the scars first before we put the foundation on, which is your screeding, right? And after that, we put on the makeup, which is your finishes, right? So now that we have the substrate ready, it's all ready to receive the finishes. Next, we look into the finishes itself. Right, now I want to stick it in. So if I want to stick it in, right, the adhesive, which is the glue, matters a lot because now we are dealing with not just normal size tiles, we're dealing with large format tiles, beautiful, beautiful large format tiles, but they come with their own challenges as well. So how do I ensure a proper bonding? Then especially on the wall, the weight of the tile itself is quite a challenge itself. And we don't want it to drop, right? We want it to last there because it's going to be disastrous if it drops, right? So when you look at cementitious adhesive, the minimum you want for such a large format tile is at least a C2TE S1. That would be the minimum, right? Anything lower than this, you run a risk of the tiles having hollowness, and in worst case scenario, it will debond and hopefully no one is there when it happens, right? If not, it's just not good, right? So C2TE S1 would be the minimum. Now, we also have epoxy adhesive, right? So other than cementitious, we have epoxy as well. Now, epoxy is whereby we call it basically the problem-solving adhesive. Why? Because it is adhesive that can be used anywhere and everywhere. It can bond onto anything. So we are talking about steel, we are talking about glass, right? So it can bond onto practically anything except plastic, right? So I have to clarify that, except plastic. Right? So it can, other than that, no problem. And it is basically any weight it can also carry. Right? So we want to look at R2TE. Now, occasionally, you may see another type of adhesive, which is what we call the mastic type, the dispersion type of adhesive. Now, dispersion type of adhesive may not be so common here in Malaysia, right? May not be so common here in Malaysia, but it is there, right? So this type is actually very easy to use because there is no mixing required. You just open it up, you can immediately just use, right, and apply. So for this type of adhesive, you want to also look at D2TE, right? So this would be the minimum classification. Now, let's just say today, Ada, just now she mentioned beautiful ideas on how to lay your large format tiles. So for example, if you want to lay it onto the countertop. So countertop, what is the base? Normally, the base is plywood, right? So when it's plywood and you want to use cementitious adhesive, C2TE S1 will not cut it because cementitious adhesive somehow or other do not bond very well to plywood. So for it to bond to plywood, you must have another classification called P1, right? Poland 1, P1. So it has to be like C2TE S1, P1. Now with that classification, you can use that adhesive for plywood. Okay? So why is it so important to use a certain grade of adhesive? Why? It's because just now, as Edwin mentioned, you don't want your tiles to buckle up and in worst case scenario explode and cause such dreadful injuries to people, right? So we don't want that to happen. So other than expansion, you must also look at this, right? So consider this. Basically, your tiles during the manufacturing, you are fired up to 1,000 over degrees, right? So basically, there's practically no water left in the tile, so it's very dry. Expansion contraction on the tile itself is minimal, but on site, screed is done on site. Screed is not pre-made, right? So it's done on site. You have water, basically you mix powder with water and you cast it down. So all of this during screed and during curing time, it does shrink. As it shrinks, so initially when you bond your tiles onto the screed, it is bonded like this. Then after that, after a certain time, the screed starts to shrink. So when it shrinks, now the edges here, there's a difference between the edges, right? So who absorbs the stress? I mean, there's a stress, there's a difference here, so that causes stress. So who will be the one responsible to absorb the stress, right? So in this scenario, it would be the adhesive. Very, very important, right? Because that's why the the choices of adhesive is very, very important. You can't just use normal adhesive, right? So why? Because your adhesive will start to disintegrate at the sides. If you notice your house, right? I mean, when you go to your house, you start knocking the edges of your tiles. A lot of time, you will find that the edges is empty. Maybe initially when you first move in the house, it feels all fine. You can knock everywhere and then there's no sound. It's fully bedded. But over time, you will notice that the edge starts to have this hollow sound. It's as though it's empty. And then you wonder why, because initially it was fully bedded and now 2 years later, 1 or 2 years later, the edges is hollow. How come? Basically it's this, because as it shrinks, the stress here became quite high. Eventually, your adhesive cannot tolerate it, it will start to disintegrate. That's why it's so important to have the correct adhesive used, right? So on the left, this is basically a normal type of adhesive, rigid type. So you could see that the larger the tiles, the further away from it, from the center, the stress goes all the way up, right? And the adhesive has no way of absorbing the difference, absorbing the stress. And therefore, over time, all this area with high stress will start to disintegrate because it cannot stay there. It cannot hold for too long. So as it disintegrates, eventually you see if the tile starts to take off, you will notice there's a circular, only a circular patch at the center. And then the edge is empty. So you're wondering, is it the applicator? Did they not put the sides, adhesive onto the side, right? A lot of time, this is the case, whereby it disintegrates over time. Whereas on the right, you can see if I were to use an adhesive that's flexible, then it can absorb the stress very, very well. And therefore, it allows your finishes to be there, to stay there, right? For the next 20 over years with no issues, right? Whereas with this, you have to be a bit more careful, right? Okay, so now let's look at installation. Oh, of course, the first thing that you have to do is basically have a place whereby you can work. So the cutting table is very important, right? So it's a place where you can put the tiles on so that you can start to cut and start to basically mold it to the shape that you want, right? That you need, right? So a working table would be ideal. Next, let's look at the tool. So like any tiles application, you must have a trowel. Notch trowel is very, very important to have. But the general thing is notch trowel, they have different sizes. Right? So although you may have the right tool, but if you don't get the right size, you may have problem later on. If I use a small notch trowel like this on a large format tile, first thing is my adhesive thickness, I cannot achieve the thickness that I need, right? Because it will become very thin. Second is I'm going to have so many lines, I'm going to create a lot of hollowness, potential hollowness happening, right? So ideally, the larger the tiles, the larger your notch trowel as well. Okay, of course, other tools would be ideal to have. Suction cups, because remember, now you're dealing with large format tiles. Small tiles is fine because once you lay it on, you can still adjust it with your hand, massage it and so on. But large format tile, you do not have the luxury of one person holding it and adjusting it. So a suction cup will give you easier handling as you have something to hold and to basically move it around, maneuver it to the place that you want. Next, of course, the bracket will be ideal. Now the bracket here basically is fastened up and allows that your tile to remain straight as you lift it up for easier handling. Because today, imagine if I have one man at one end and the other man at the other end, the tile will end up flexing at the middle. So the moment it flexes, eventually there's a potential chance, a potential risk that it may break, right? Because of the curve. So the bracket basically allows it to stay straight and then it's giving you very easy handling, right? Now, of course, all the corner protection, it will be good during transportation and so on. Right, so like here, you're going to lay onto the floor. So you see with the bracket system, you just need 2 men. It's very easy to handle and just put it down onto where it needs to be applied. Right. If today you have no bracket, you need more men because you cannot allow it to flex. It has to be straight. Right. So to minimize breakages from happening. So it's the same thing when you want to apply onto the wall, it's so much easier with the bracket, right? Okay. Now to apply, just like any tiles, right? You want to have not just the basically adhesive onto the substrate, you want it at the back of the tiles too, right? So even more so when the tiles is so big, right? So you can either do a link coat like this, or you can do a straight trowel like this. But when you do a straight trowel, it will be, you have to be a bit careful when you lay it down. right? So at the ground here, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to have basically, you broadcast this to, it's basically like a slurry bond to enhance the adhesion bond, right? Basically, it's like a primer. And then after that, you add your adhesive and you give straight trowel. Very, very important to do straight troweling. Then just now, you see, when we did straight trowel, you must ensure that the line is parallel to each other. Don't do crisscrossing, because when you do a crisscross, you're going to have a lot of air gaps in between crisscross. So that's not what we want. We want full coverage, and in order to achieve full coverage, you must ensure that the air is not trapped inside, that there's minimal air voids, right? It's like this. Straight trowel, why we always emphasize on straight troweling is because of this. When I do straight trowel, I just have to massage it very, very minimally, right? I can already achieve almost 100% coverage. In this case, it would have been 100%. It's just that because we're using glass, we don't do back buttering. We wanted you to see what happens, right? So that's why you achieve, even then you achieve 90%. Now with the conquest and the Q-Lastic standards, it's even more imperative to do this, to ensure this, because if not, you're going to have a difficult time scoring, right? So this is very commonly seen on site, this method whereby it's swirly type, right? So this swirl movement, this swirl method, it's very easy it's very natural hand movement. That's why it's very commonly used. So it's very fast, it's very natural to the hand, but you're going to have a lot of air voids because, have a look here, the air has no way to escape. When it turns here, it gets blocked. It goes there, it's blocked. Air anywhere has no way to exit, right? So that is where the problem lies. So as now you see it as lines, it seems okay. But as it cures, the lines get bigger and eventually it joins up. You will have very big and many air pockets happening, right? So you don't want that to happen. So once you get the adhesive done, you already lay it down. Now you want to ensure that you remove all the air voids. So of course, normal tiles we can massage, right? It's the same with the large format tile. If you're using Vogue Grande large format tiles, you also have to ensure that all the air is removed. So you can do it manually like this, or you can use a machine to aid you. Basically, it vibrates the air out, but you must ensure that you have you move around from edges to edges, right? It's very, very important. If you don't have tools, you can use your feet. If it's on the ground, you can use your feet, right? So what you can do is basically you walk in such a direction, right? From top to bottom and so on and so forth. Come back, right? The idea is to ensure that every single one of these edges are covered because we want to ensure that all air voids, there won't be any air voids, all air are removed. Okay. Then lastly, like what Edwin just now mentioned, a leveler is just so important because this will allow you to have beautiful finishing rather than having lipages whereby if you're walking, you can feel it, right? If it's on the wall, you can see it, right? So it's just not very nice, right? So ideally you have a leveler, all right? Of course, you must have the right gap as well, right? So although mesh system may cause some scratches, but I still feel it's better than none, right? So it's so important to have this, right? And finally, grouting. Now that you have everything so beautiful, the grout, many people always mislook into it because they always think that it's not so important, but grout is so important because you don't want your beautiful finishes to end up like this. This is a very common condition that we see on site, right? So you can see that basically it looks like patches at the edge of the tiles. Now this, we cannot save. You can try all sorts of cleaning. It just cannot clean it off because this is underneath the tiles itself. The layer design of the tiles is actually underneath, right? How did this happen, right? Is it the tile problem? Is it the adhesive problem? Is it the grout problem, right? So that's where a lot of disputes happen, like hey, no, what's wrong with this? Like, who's responsible for this? Now, actually, this is not anyone's problem, but the issue that caused this is basically when you apply adhesive, you only give it a day before you apply the grouting. And then after you apply the grouting, you cover it with a canvas sheet. So you have to remember everything underneath is still wet, right? It's not fully cured. They're still curing, right? In the process of curing. So there's a lot of water content inside there. And water has to evaporate, right? So it has to have some way to exit. But because you have that canvas sheet on top of it, there is no way for it to escape. Therefore, it will travel and they will travel to wherever it could travel. And normally it will be at the sides, edges of the tiles itself. And this one, you can't do much about it except to remove the tiles and put the tiles back on, new tiles back on. So we have did a lot of scenarios together with our host here today, with Niro. So we did so many scenarios here to see if I can minimize this from happening, right? So of course, we realized that the best way to do it is once you apply the grout, allow it at least 3 days to cure, right? Allow it at least 3 days to dry before you put the canvas sheet on, right? So that would be the ideal. But if you can't wait that 3 days, right? If you can't wait that 3 days, I will highly recommend you to look into alternatives such as the PU and epoxy grouts. Why? Because PU and epoxy grouts has no water content at all, right? So there is absolutely no water content. So by using this, you can dramatically reduce all of this problem from happening. And at the same time, it gives you stain-proof and more module protection, right? So basically, you have very beautiful finishes, right? So when you do it as your feature wall or even in your kitchen, right, where you have a lot of oil splatter and so on, if you use PU and epoxy grout, you don't have to worry about it staining and you don't have to worry about it being unhygienic, right? So this is what we carry here in Malaysia. So it's the first of its kind here in this country, right? So whereby it's a PU grout ready to use. You just open the lid, you can immediately apply. No mixing required. Very easy, right? And the performance is very good. So grouts can generally, many people think grouts can be your enemy because they stain and you get so hygienic. But I'm just going to share, if you use the right grout, right, it can be your friend as well and part of the masterpiece, right? So with that, that concludes my sharing for today, and I'll pass you back to Wendy.
Thank you, Elise. That was really excellent. Now, thank you to all our presenters today. We are now on the Q&A session. Okay, now we have the first question from Damon Cock. His question is large format tile applied at flooring easy to crack or break? Elise, can you take up this question?
Yes, that's a very good question, Damon. Like every other tiles of different sizes, how easy for the tile to break all depends on the coverage of the tiles, whether is it hollow or is it fully bonded. So just very much like karate practitioner, when they do the karate chop, normally underneath is hollow, right? So it's easier to break. But if you karate chop a full wall, then you will hurt your hands instead, right? So it's all about the full coverage. Of course, that's one factor. Second factor is there sufficient expansion joints? We have Edwin here, right? So expansion joints is very important, especially with large format tiles, right? So if you have sufficient expansion joints, then you don't have to worry about it cracking. But if you don't have enough expansion joints, enough space for it to expand, right? Then for large tiles of this size, it's very hard for it to tent, nor will it buckle. Most of the time, you will have it cracking. So that's why it's very important to have sufficient expansion joints in place. Then you will minimize that from happening. And last but not least, of course, you have to protect the edges. So meaning to say, ideally, as minimal leakage as possible. So if you follow QLASIC, you practice QLASIC, you will be less than 1 mm leakage, right? And if you do protect the edges, then definitely you will have much less chances of it cracking. So if you do all these three, right, the large format tile will be just as good as any size of tiles, right? It won't be so easy to break and crack, right? So I'll give it back to Wendy.
Okay, right, next. We have another question here from Kok Wing. What kind of termination profile can you have for a kitchen island? Ada, I think this relates a little bit to design. Would you want to take up this question?
Okay, can. All right. So, talking about the termination age, right? Well, I believe each designer must have idea in your mind of what kind of design termination you wanted to achieve. Anyway, termination age, we have like miter joint, bevel edge, straight cut joint, and even bull nose, okay, and so on. So all this actually can be done as long as contractor skills are good enough. And actually, talking about the termination age, today we are quite lucky because we have Mr. Edwin, our expertise, which already introduced all of you about his product for the termination profile option as well. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Edwin, do you have anything to add on since you have introduced the termination profiles just now?
Yeah, just a little bit. As I mentioned in my talk just now, there's a graphic, there's a picture there that shows them the termination age that actually comes together with the corner. So that would be easily, I think Elise also mentioned about most of this countertop will have a plywood underneath it and then the tile sits on top. So the termination edge that we have is actually a very thick aluminium with a slot in the center. So what it does is it sits in between your plywood and also your tiles, so it covers the side and also make sure that the whole thing is being installed properly. So that would be a much easier, I would find a much easier installation method to just install that. Yeah, that's all from my side, and we have multiple color to choose from. Yeah, back to you, Wendy.
Okay, next question we have from Kelvin Tan. How high can you install large format tiles and what must you use? Is it brackets? Elise, can you take up this question?
Okay, that's a very good question, Kelvin, right? So that's definitely one of the most common question that people would have, because now you have such beautiful tiles, you want to put it into external facade. It will look fantastic, right, if you do it that way. So of course, with the weight of the tiles comes with the concern, how high can it go? So I'm just going to share, with Let It Create globally, we have done a project in Kuwait. Kuwait itself is called Alhambra. So we did a limestone installation. Limestone means it's stone itself, so it's very much heavier than the tiles, right? And we did installation 400 meters high on external facade, direct bonding using adhesive, right? So 400 meters high, that means it's one entire tower. So it can be done, right? So if you're using a tiles and you feel but of course, we have local rules and regulation. So of course, it's up to a certain height. The rules states that we have to put brackets. But take note that when it comes to tiles, bracket may not be so recommended because stone is very much thicker. So you have space for it to drill and fasten your bracket. But your tiles are about 10 mm thick. So it's very much thinner, lighter, right? And not very suitable to drill a bracket in. So, but with that said, it's just to share with you, you definitely can install as high as you want using the right adhesive, right? Okay, so back to Wendy.
Okay, thank you. Next question from Adrian Ho. For the products from Italy, how long do we have to wait? I think, Edwin, you mentioned something about a product from Italy just now.
Yeah, the progress profiles are all manufactured in Italy. So they normally take, because of the pandemic now, in current situation, they will take somewhere around slightly less than 2 months, barring the fact that if you can pass custom earlier, around there, slightly less than 2 months.
Okay, next we have CK. His question is, are there any other colors of big tiles? Xiao Wei, any other interesting colors coming on?
All right, CK, thank you for the question. So for our Vogue Grande collections, yes, we do have other colors that is coming up, such as beige and also light gray. So what you need to do is just do look out for our new product launch in the near future. All right, thank you.
All right, next question we have from Vincent Koo. Are the large tiles for outdoor, are the large tiles from outdoor big buildings any complications? I guess this is installation methods again. Elise, you want to take this up?
Okay, I suppose it's quite similar to the question by Kelvin. It's a good question because external installation is definitely you have higher risk of it buckling and whatnot happening normally externally, because as what Edwin mentioned, there's cyclic temperatures to consider as well, right? So again, if you're doing it on a car porch, right, so it's very important to ensure that you have sufficient expansion space. So ideally, I do understand that designers won't like this, right? So I mean, external car porch, ideally we have 5 mm grout joint, right? So that would be ideal. Yeah, yeah, I know. I understand that designers wouldn't like me saying that, right? So 5 mm grout joints will be ideal for external car porch, right? And you must make sure you have sufficient perimeter gap as well, right? So to allow for expansion, because we don't want your beautiful finishes just because you want to make it even more beautiful. You minimize it, the grout joints. Then later on, you have cracks happening in your tiles. I think that's very so that's for car porch. Then again, for the walls, you can consider if you want to use cementitious adhesive, your concern would be whether is it going to rain today, right? So today, if it's going to rain, or the next few days it's going to rain, please do protect your adhesive against the rain, because that is the time it is most sensitive. Right, during that period of time whereby it's gaining strength, it has to be protected against rain. So that is for cementitious. If today you have the budget and you don't want to think so much about the rain and the weather and whatnot, opt for the epoxy adhesive, and you don't have to worry about the weather bothering you for your installation. Right. So back to you, Wendy.
All right. We seem to be having a lot of questions coming from the male participants. So let's pick one from the ladies. Next question is from Jacqueline. What are the best colors with large tiles for contemporary design? Ada, our chief designer, can you take this up?
All right, thanks for the questions again. Okay, now talking about a design contemporary style, right? Okay, actually fundamentally, contemporary style is defined by simplicity, subtle sophistication, deliberate use of texture, and clean lines. Okay, so as we know, dark color tile always bring drama to large space. Okay, while light color tiles have an expanding and brightening effect for small rooms. Okay, so if back to contemporary color foundation, they are neutral color. Black and white actually is a main color too. Okay, whether you want a dark and dramatic flooring to add a moody feel, or you love the look of light and bright walls, okay, these always work well together and can be paired with just about any other color as you want. Okay, that's my best answer.
Okay, thank you, Ada. Next question we have from WP Kun. Which is better, control joint or membrane system? I think this question goes to you, Edwin.
Yep. Thanks for the question. I think this is definitely a very good question. My actual answer would be use both. Yes. Because why? It serves two very. It gives the tile have a better movement capability, a better flexibility. Yeah, and this is actually what is practiced in a lot of European countries as well. They actually use both the membrane and the control joint together. But you can actually use the membrane only if the aesthetics that you're trying to achieve can't be achieved by having a control joint line there. Then you can just use the membrane system, or else I would highly recommend to use control joint, because it's slightly more affordable as compared to the membrane system. Yeah, but membrane system also have other functionality like load bearing and also waterproofing feature. So it actually depends. Yeah. that's my recommendation and answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Edwin. We have time for one last question. Let me see. We have Kelvin here. For big slabs, are there any other designs other than marble? Xiao Wei, yours again.
All right, thank you for the question. So on the topic whether, are we going to have others design besides marble? Yes. Okay, in our plan, we do have that in our plan. That we're going to launch others design as well. Okay, besides the marble, what you need to do is again, do look up for our new product launch, and we will share more through that product launch. Thank you.
All right, I think that's all for today. Thank you to all our presenters, and thank you for attending this webinar. If you have more questions, please email us at nirogranite@nirogroup.com. That's NIROGRANITE @nirogroup.com. Keep a lookout for your emails for the answers to the rest of the questions. All right, and if you have more, do find out from us at nirogranite.com or on our FB or Instagram or YouTube. All right, that's it for now. See you all in our next webinar.